After the Napoleonic era and the Congress of Vienna, Metternich of Austria gained most of the power over Europe. Metternich was the first Chancellor of Austria and a leader who believed in conservatism, which is wanting to maintain the status quo within monarchies and censorship. He had a huge influence over Europe, which made him very powerful. After Napoleon's rule, Metternich wanted to split Italy back up into its old monarchies. Metternich's rule over Italy set the stage for Italian unification, as many Italians wanted to rid their countries of foreign, mostly Austrian, control. This led to a series of failed uprisings and revolutions throughout the peninsula starting on 1848. Mazzini was considered the heart of the Italian unification. He started Young Italy, which is a political movement for the Italian youth under the age of 40, founded in 1831. Young Italy's goal was to unify Italy as a republic through promoting a general insurrection in the Italian reactionary states and the lands occupied by the Austrian Empire. Overall, he aimed to promote Italian nationalism and break free from foreign control. Cavour was the prime minister of Piedmont Sardinia during the Italian unification. He is considered the head of the unification. He was a master of realpolitik, which is when decisions are based off of logic and the greater good and not based on a party's ideology. During the unification, Napoleon and Cavour met, and France agreed they would wage war on Austria and help with unification in exchange for Nice and Savoy in the Treaty of Plombières, betraying Cavour. Much of the credit for unification is given to him. Garibaldi was the sword of the unification. Unlike Cavour, he wanted a republic in Italy, not a monarchy. Garibaldi led his troop of 1,000 red shirts north from the southern tip of the Italian peninsula in the Kingdom of the Two Sicilies in order to conquer and unify Italy. Cavour was, at the time, unifying Italy from the top down. They both met near the Papal States, and Garibaldi agreed to hand over his already unified territories to Cavour, even though they had conflicting viewpoints, in order to achieve a full unification of Italy. Victor Emmanuel II was the face of the unification. He was a monarch of Piedmont Sardinia. He was just a figurehead of the unification and didn't actually do much for it. He was important because when Italy was unified, he was going to be the first monarch to rule over Italy. Following the Italian unification, Germany wanted to unify as well. The First German Empire was created under Kaiser Wilhelm I, and Bismarck was the first Chancellor of Germany. He worked with realpolitik. For example, his famous saying of blood and iron emphasized his belief that in order to unify Germany, they must use military force. He was also an advocate for Klein Deutschland, which meant Germany would unify without Austria. Later on, Bismarck was fired by Kaiser Wilhelm II. Bismarck made a secret treaty with Russia that agreed that if Germany or Russia went to war with another great power, the other country would stay neutral, with the exception of Russia attacking Austria and Germany attacking France. It lapsed after Kaiser Wilhelm II fired Bismarck because he didn't tell anyone of the treaty. Its lapse was a large cause of why Germany lost the war, because without this treaty, Germany had to fight a two-front war, and they would have a much better shot at winning if they hadn't had to fight on both the eastern and western fronts. Kaiser Wilhelm II was offered the crown from the Franken Assembly, but he wouldn't take the crown from the gutter because he didn't believe in the Republic and he thought a godly appointed figure like the king should appoint royalty. He also wanted to have a lot of power, and he didn't because of how much power Bismarck had, so he dismissed Bismarck and appointed Caprivi instead. However, Caprivi and Kaiser didn't get along well, so he appointed Hohenlohe because he didn't take any of the power away from him. On June 28, 1914, the Archduke Franz Ferdinand, the heir of the Austro-Hungarian dual monarchy, was assassinated by pan-Slavist terrorist organization, the Black Hand. This event was called the Sarajevo Crisis. Ferdinand got lost while on a tour around Bosnia, and he was finally shot after he coincidentally stopped in front of one of their leaders. His assassination sparked talk of war throughout the country. Furious about the assassination of their heir, Austria sent out the Austrian ultimatum, saying that if Serbia did not allow Austria to aid in the investigation of the assassination, they would go to war against Serbia. Due to the idea of Pan-Slavism, which is the idea that Russia is the mother of all Slavic countries, and its duty is to take care of all those countries, Germany gave Austria a blank check to do whatever they deemed fit against Serbia. The alliances between the countries was one of the main causes of the war, because one country entered a war, it forced other countries to also enter. After the U.S. intercepted the Zimmerman telegram, a message from Germany to Mexico stating that after they won the war, Mexico would have the U.S. entered the war as an allied power. After the war, Woodrow Wilson, the President of the United States at the time, created a plan for peace, called the 14 Points. This plan included the creation of an international organization, the League of Nations, whose main goal was to maintain peace throughout the world, and it was part of the Treaty of Versailles. The Treaty of Versailles was the treaty that ended the war, and in this was the War Guilt Clause. The War Guilt Clause is Article 231, which solely blames Germany for the war. This clause called for serious consequences and actions against Germany.